Coming to you live from the Mistopheles Studios, it's Dark Fringe Radio.
All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
You're the disease, and I'm the cure. That is power.
Hey guys, Will Martinez here with Dark Fringe Radio. Thanks for joining us on another new episode of Dark Fringe Radio. Tonight we have a very special guest. His name is Mike Heston Rogers, and he was one of the witnesses to the very famous case Fire in the Sky, which was a book written by his brother-in-law, Mr. Walton and Travis Walton. And we actually have Mike Rogers on tonight. He's going to be talking about that event and some other other experiences that he's had as well. So a very interesting episode tonight. But this week, it's just me solo. But next week, Jay will be back on with us. Next week, we have an interview with expert Bigfoot hunter, researcher, Todd Neese. And me and Jay had the opportunity of talking to talk to him and get his expertise and his knowledge regarding to Bigfoot. But nonetheless, I just wanted to remind everybody where you can listen to the podcast. Very simply, you can go to our website, darkfringeradio.com, and right there you can listen to the latest episode, and also you can click on any of the streaming sites that play podcasts as well. We're all over the place: iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, all over. So you can always check us out there, and also our social media: Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just look up Dark Fringe Radio. So very simple. So that's going to be it for the intro for tonight. We're going to cut right into our interview with Mr. Mike Heston Rogers, because it was a lengthy interview. So again, I want everybody to enjoy the whole interview. And again, I wanted to thank Mr. Mike Rogers for coming on the podcast and talking about this event, which is probably, I would say, one of the most prolific alien abduction stories, or even UFO or ufology stories of all time. Definitely in the top three. So nonetheless, I hope you guys enjoy this interview with Mr. Mike Heston Rogers.
Hi, this is Tammy Merhab Chavez of Holly Weird Paranormal Podcast, and you're listening to Dark Fringe Radio.
Good evening, Dark Fringe Radio listeners. Tonight, we have a very, very special guest on with us tonight. His name is Mike Heston Rogers, and you may know that name because of the book, of course, Fire in the Sky, the movie. And he was, of course, one of the key components of that mysterious occurrence that happened back in 1975. I want to just give a big, warm thank you and a welcome to Mr. Mike Heston Rogers for coming on Dark Fringe Radio. Thank you so much, Mike.
You bet, William. Very, very good. I'm glad to be here. Really.
Awesome.
I had my own show on KGRA for like 14 months.
Yeah.
And so I won't tell you why that ended, but it had to do with Ray Hobbs. Okay.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Well, listen, it's wonderful to have you on here tonight, and I really appreciate the opportunity to do have this conversation with you. But of course, your story, of course, started back in 1975, that fateful day. And
it actually started quite a few years sooner than that.
Please tell me about that. Please, if you could.
Well, in the woods one time about 1968, my brother Charles and I were cutting trees, and I looked up in the sky, and right directly straight above us was a sphere, a silver sphere, and
wow.
it was about the size of my thumbnail held up at arm's length. Okay.
Gotcha.
And the clouds up here in the White Mountains moved pretty fast.
Yeah.
And so the clouds were moving over the top of it, and they kept going, and this thing just stayed right there.
Okay.
It just stayed there, and it stayed there for like 30 minutes. When I noticed it, my brother and I were gassing up our saws. And so we had a central place, for the gas and everything.
Right.
And so that's what we were doing. And I just got this funny feeling. I just looked straight up.
Mm-hmm.
And I says, look at that, Charles. And so he looked up and he goes, whoa. We actually laid down and leaned our head back on a log. Okay.
Wow.
And
so y'all were just able to sit back and just watch this thing for a long period of time.
And it never moved. It never moved. And the clouds kept going. Oh, and a jet plane on its way to Phoenix, which is like this way. It went by, but quite a ways from there, but it was a little bit above the clouds.
Right.
And this thing was below the clouds.
Wow.
And so anyway.
Did you guys ever did you guys ever look into that incident? Like, did you guys look at maybe to see if you could find the flight records for that night to see if there was anything,
No,
No? Okay.
No, back then I didn't think of doing anything like that. And then about 3 years later in 1970, I have an illustration that I sent you. Okay.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll share that with everybody as well. We'll share that.
That's right. Anyway, that happened in September 23rd of 1970, because we were headed from Snowflake. We were headed west down the highway to go to the last thing of Big Surf, which was going to be the next day. Okay.
Right.
And it was like I don't remember what day of the week it was, but it was September 23rd is the time we saw this. So the next day, the 24th, would have been the day we were going to be in Phoenix for the last day of Big Surf. Anyway.
Right.
Oh my gosh! If you can display that at all, that
I can.
A picture is worth 1,000 words.
And the thing about it too, Mike, is that it's an aerial, almost like an aerial view, but from very far away, and you just see this orb floating. Yeah. And it's just amazing how it's just just staying there. Like it's just an amazing thing. And then how everything is lit up like daylight right under it.
Oh, that's right. And just like the illustration, the light, which was brighter than daylight, it actually hurt my eyes. And there's no way of showing that in a picture like that, but it came from underneath that sphere, like in a point, like from nowhere. In other words, there was no light fixture producing it visible.
Gotcha.
And this thing was somewhere between 60 and 100 feet in diameter.
Wow.
And it looked just like that. I mean, my memory is very clear on that. I've showed that to Travis, and he says, "Yeah, looks exactly like." And of course, that incident had 17 witnesses altogether. There were
there was a lot of corroboration with that.
Oh yeah, there was 6 of us in the car.
Right.
There was a minibus that I passed. It was just to the right of the highway. Right as, in fact, that scene I depict there is right after I passed the minibus. And I still have a tape in my safe over here of the first conference that Travis and I went to, which was in Tonopah, Arizona. And this guy named Rue Hunt, which I knew, he was a bus driver from Snowflake Union High School, and he was taking 8 football players home that evening, and all that is spelled out in that tape that I have. Okay.
Wow.
And of course, I heard him speak there at Tonopah as well. And so I thought, man, I got to get that. So I have that tape. Anyway, there was 2 other people besides that used to work for me. Okay. And they both saw it and from a different side. They were on the other side, virtually on the other side.
Right.
And they described it the same way.
The same way.
Yeah.
That's
and by
amazing.
the way, it was first up in the clouds, or at least was mostly up in the clouds.
Right.
And when I left Snowflake, okay, we were driving a Dodge Charger. I was in the driver's seat. Travis was on the passenger side, which is the way it was in 1975.
Right.
Same thing.
Right.
And the same number of people were with us.
That's what I was just about to say. I was like,
people.
You said 6 people. I was like, that's the same number of people that was with you in 1975, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
There were me and Travis and 4 guys in the back of that crew cab, large crew cab. Okay.
Right.
International Harvester.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And anyway, the thing came down out of the clouds. It just kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it just sat there for, oh gosh, like 2 or 3 minutes.
So
And
descended
all this time we were moving up on it. I had to kind of go over that rise before I could see the ground on the other side.
right,
And when we did, the light goes. I mean, there was no sound, just the light was just suddenly there,
right.
and it stayed there for like, oh, I don't know how long. And I kept driving because I wanted to get in that light. But before I got down that little bit of a hill there, very far,
Right.
the light went out, and this
Oh.
thing went back up in the clouds and disappeared in the clouds.
Wow.
And it had a vapor trail around it, when it left, it was like steaming. Okay.
Right.
And
right.
so as it would go, it would like the steam would like swirl around behind it and like that, and it went up, and that's exactly the same description that Rue Hunt gave me at Tonopah.
Interesting. Interesting. Yep. So you guys have been seeing stuff before the big 1975 event.
Yeah,
obviously.
And the next event was in 1975.
Yeah,
and the same number of people. Travis and I are in the same positions, right?
That is so crazy. That is so crazy. Yeah. Let me ask you this: do you think it's military? Do you think it's military, or do you think it's really something from out of Earth?
There is no way in the world. No way in the world. For instance, that thing that my brother Charles and I saw,
right,
in 1967 or 68, right in there.
Right.
When it finally left, it was just gone. I mean, it was just like
with the blink of an eye.
Yeah. And it took off horizontally too, like
wow,
towards the southwest, which is
right.
would be like where I'm looking right now. Right now, it's towards the east.
Yeah.
Look at you as towards the north. Okay. By the way, I've never been turned around the woods or anywhere.
Yeah.
I just have a kind of a sixth sense about that.
Yeah, no. Some people do. And I really do believe that, because I've met people like that who cannot get lost in the woods. They know exactly where they're going. And
if I go down to a big town like Phoenix, that, I can always tell where I am. Always.
Yeah.
At least I may not know the street I'm on. But,
right. Yeah.
I can tell the direction wherever northeast, south, and west is,
Yeah, no, I get it. No, that's awesome. So let's talk about of course, the big event, the 1975.
Oh yeah.
And this has been highly, talked about. This is probably the closest top 2-3 alien abduction stories of all of ufology.
Yeah.
Probably the Betty and Barney Hill story is probably just as famous. But when I go over the story in my head so many times, I'm just like, I'm mesmerized every time. It's an amazing story. You, Travis, 4 other guys in the back of this car, you guys see a light, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coming through the trees. Right. I mean, we actually left the work site well after sunset. It was almost dark, okay, because we were working until last night because I was behind on that contract and we were trying to get it finished. And so, in fact, we got to work that day about 8 o'clock. And we worked all day long. We had 2 lunch breaks, about 30 minutes each,
Yeah, you need something to break up the day.
I pushed these guys. I really did. And they all remember taking 2 sacks, a big sack, so that they'd have enough to eat all day long, So did I, of course. And well, anyway, we rounded we I don't know, it took about 10-15 minutes to get up that road because it was kind of like steep uphill,
Right.
And it was kind of a rough road, so it took a while to get back up there. Once we got back up sort of on the level, okay. Very rugged country, by the way, very rugged.
Right.
And so we got up around this clear. We broke into a clearing because there was a lot of thick trees to the right there. And so as we went past, on the road very slowly, of course, there it was, and it was amazing.
I'm sure. I mean, it captured every one of you guys' attention to the fullest extent.
Oh, yeah, you bet.
And to the point where one of you guys decided to get out of the car.
Well, Travis actually jumped out.
Yeah.
I mean, he saw it and he jumped out actually as I was stopping. Okay.
Right.
course, I wasn't going very fast anyway.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure you're probably at a snail's crawl just looking at this thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I couldn't see it at that point because
Okay.
it was up on a ridge. You know, I was the driver, so I'm looking to my right. Okay, and I'm looking to my right. I'm trying to go through the motions here because this video. I was looking to my right.
Yeah.
But I couldn't see it because there was a ridge there. Okay,
And you were at the high point of the ridge.
Yeah, the ridge was like 20 feet higher than the level of the truck. Okay.
Gotcha.
And then this thing was like 20 feet above that.
Right.
And this international crew cab I had, the window was open. Okay. Anyway, I couldn't see it. So I stopped the truck and I turned it off. Okay. Because I didn't know what they were looking at. I didn't know what they were looking at. And so lo and behold.
Yeah. Let me pause you real quick there. Real quick. So before you see these lights, was there any type of physical maybe things to maybe had, like, a lot of people say that before they encounter a UFO they have a metallic taste in their mouth, or they have like a surge of energy, like almost like electricity that kind of they feel. Did you get any of those kind of physical warnings?
Not until I saw it.
Not until you saw it.
Once I looked at it, see, I had to lean over. Ken Peterson was sitting on my right over here, and once I leaned over, kind of in his lap, Ken Peterson's lap. Travis was already out the door because he's on the passenger.
Yeah.
So anyway, I looked down and I could see it, and all kinds of things went through me then. I mean, I can't even describe it.
Oh, I'm sure.
And this, everybody has described it as beautiful. I painted it several times, actually. And
what do you describe it as?
Well, it was like the typical flying saucer thing with a two pie pans placed lip to lip,
Right. Yeah.
And there was the essence of a dome on top. So I don't know if there was one, because like I say, it was up this ridge,
higher up the ridge. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think I saw there was like something round just barely peeking over the top.
Okay.
But it was lighted from the side. It had a framework, a metallic looking framework, and then the whole thing looked like it was covered with glass.
Wow.
And it was reflecting, besides being lighted, it was reflecting everything around it.
Around it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there any noise? Did you hear any kind of noise,
Not
like
at
engines
first.
or anything like that?
Well, it took a while. When we first pulled up, there was silence.
Ooh.
But as Travis got up there to it, close to it, it started making a noise. It started making a high-pitched cyclic sound. Okay, I can't describe it. Nobody can.
No, unless you witnessed it yourself.
Yeah, unless you use yourself. Oh, I remember what it sounded like. Oh, I remember that well.
Yeah,
and that sent chills through me. Oh my God.
Oh,
man.
And
it was so beautiful. And then, of course, as Travis got right up there to it, he stood there looking up at a 45-degree angle, and I could see all this from the truck because I measured it since then. It was 93 feet from the center of the truck.
Wow.
So the guys on that side were like 90 feet,
Right.
And well, Travis stood up. First of all, he crouched down.
Right.
Because it started making this noise and stuff. He crouched down because there was a logging slash there. Okay. And so he crouched, he got scared. He will tell you this himself.
Right.
He got scared by that, and he ducked down below a kind of a log that was sticking out there. It wasn't really offering much protection. Nobody did.
Yeah.
And then everybody in the truck is yelling at him by this time, including me, telling him, Travis, what in the hell are you doing?
Right. Get back in the truck.
Get back from there. Yeah, get back.
Yeah.
And he took our advice, but you see, this whole thing took like 30 seconds.
Got you.
I mean,
it was so fast.
All in all, by the time we left, we're talking about a 45-second adventure.
And so do you think, was there, even though it was a very short amount of time, did you guys have anything, any kind of time missing? Like, was it, even though it seemed like 45 seconds, it was hours that had passed by or anything like that?
There's been a couple of guys who have claimed that, but
Okay.
Alan Dallas, for one of them, he died of drug overdose at an intersection down in the Phoenix area. This has been like 10 years ago. Wow. And Ken Peterson, who's still alive, don't want anything to do with it. He doesn't. He just. For one thing, he's in very bad health. Oh, and wow. He's 4 years younger than me. Travis is 5 years younger than me. I just found out that John Gillette was 16 at the time. Oh, wow. I just found out from Steve Pierce, who told me later that he was 17. And he says that John Gillette was 16. Wow. And he told me his birthday and everything. I thought, wow, And both, what's funny is that I am healthier than any of my brothers and sisters. I am healthier than any of the guys in the crew. Yeah. Yeah. That's how it is sometimes, Mike. That's how it works sometimes. Life is very funny that way. Let me ask you this question. So in the movie and in the book, it was a claim about a beam coming and hitting Travis. Did you witness that beam hitting Travis, or was that just something that was added on? I didn't see it. Okay. Yeah, well, a couple of the guys there did. Okay. The story goes that Alan, because I looked back there and I couldn't see him. He was the one sitting on the other passenger side in the back seat, right? Okay, gotcha. I looked back there and I was thinking, what did Alan get out or something? This all happened extremely quick, just like glances, Right. And he thought, I can't see him. Later on, Steve Pierce, who was sitting next to him, says, Alan hugged the floor. Oh, okay. He said he says he was kissing the floor. I'd probably be doing the same thing if I was in that scenario. Well, I didn't kiss the floor or anything else, but I'll tell you, because it looked so ominous, it looked so threatening. Okay, that I realized I need to start the truck. You see, So I reached over and I started the truck. Just about the time I did that, there was a zap, and I looked up. I didn't see the beam that hit him, but he was flying through the air backwards. Oh, and wow. He hit the ground. His feet, I've analyzed this since, his feet landed about 10 feet back. He's a little over 6 feet tall. So somewhere between 16 and 17 feet is how far back his head went. Wow. So a lot of the guys, they say, 10 to 20 feet, or something like that, Yeah. Yeah. So you guys decide to take off at that point, right? Yes. Well, I turned the truck on. Yeah. And everybody's yelling, so I had to look back and I glanced back at Travis, and he's laying there, just not moving, right? Yeah. And dust is like rolling up around him, Yeah. Because the cats have been in there piling logging debris. Okay. Like, I don't know, a few months before that. And that's and so they scraped a lot of the ground clean, meaning that there was dust in some places. Okay. Right. And so, where he landed was pretty damn hard. He was, on the ground, and dust actually was rolling up. Yeah. So you guys probably figured at that point he was done. He was done for. Well, all I knew is he was just laying there. Right. Motionless. Yeah. Right on his back. Yeah. And he hit the ground kind of like and bounced too. Kind of bounced a little. Wow. What a thing to witness. Oh yeah. And then of course, within a couple of seconds, I hit the gas and took off. I don't blame you. And even though that was a very rough road, I mean, I battered that truck up pretty bad getting out of there. Matter of fact, I had white knuckles. I could barely see. Oh my gosh. And so once you leave, you go back, you drop off the guys. How long did it take for you to go back to go look for Travis? Oh, we were up there. I've been out to the site 3 times in the last month. Okay. For various reasons. One was for the Travel Channel people. Okay. Once was for a guy named David Loomis. Okay, he's a local MUFON, or used to be the local MUFON, the White Mountain chapter of MUFON. Okay.
Gotcha.
But he isn't anymore. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last time was this other fella who turned out to be some sort of I don't know who he was. He wanted me to go out there. They had a whole bunch of nonsense to tell me.
Charlatan, one of those charlatans.
Yeah. And he was telling me a whole bunch of crap that Travis has supposedly said to him and everything. And I have checked all that out since then and realized, that is not quite right.
Yeah.
The email he sent me could have been completely made up easily.
That's the whole thing about technology these days, huh, Mike? I mean, anybody can pose as anybody. Anybody can say anything. Anybody can pose as anything. You know, it's amazing. It's amazing. You can't trust anybody anymore.
No, you can't. I don't trust you.
Hey, listen, that's a healthy trust. That's good. That's a healthy thing to have. Distrust.
You got a trusting face right there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well,
But listen, I mean, this is amazing because the story it continues on. It continues on to this day because some may or may not know. You and Travis just recently kind of mended fences, and you guys are on good terms and talking now. And there's rumors of supposedly of a remake coming out of Fire in the Sky. Supposedly.
Well,
allegedly.
I met with Travis night before last out here at the city park in the Pines.
Yeah.
And he told me, I says, Travis, I'm not certain there's going to be a remake because the story's too old,
Yeah. Oh, please.
And he says, well, there's a couple of people working on it. I says, well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. No, it's a classic story, Mike. It's a classic story. And to this day, I mean, like I said, I have a cousin who watched that movie one time and only one time only. And his psyche has been ruined by this movie. And it's just,
you should tell him that movie is, well, my part is fairly close. Right. Travis's is pretty much fiction.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's the thing that I wanted to ask you. There's a lot of extra fluff, the Hollywood fluff, that was added into that movie, correct?
Lots.
Yeah.
A couple of things I'm pretty certain, I'm not certain, but pretty sure it came from Travis, like the end of the movie where I'm a hermit living in the woods.
Yeah. I was like,
not.
How did that end up like
Travis
that? Yeah.
always knew my phone number. He always knew my address, And anyway,
so Hollywood is something else, huh?
I have no idea where that came from, but Robert Patrick even came looking for me one time,
Yeah.
And
the only way who played you in the movie, of course.
Exactly, yeah, Robert Patrick. Right. And the only way he found me was through my father.
Oh, wow, okay.
I don't know why he had to do that, but he found me, and we talked on the phone after that for several hours, about an hour and a half, 2 different times. And he gave me his phone number. It doesn't work anymore. But Robert Patrick and I became very good. I would send him Christmas cards until apparently he changed his address over there in Hollywood somewhere,
Yeah.
And, so I guess it kind of got lost, but about 5 or 6 years,
Yeah.
We exchanged things.
Yeah,
and then
of course.
He got busy. He's a very busy guy,
Oh yeah.
And he does everything he can. I've got a whole. In fact, I got down in the living room. Okay, this is on the second floor. I have a great big huge TV. One of those huge ones. They're like, I don't know what it is, 8 feet or something.
Right.
And I have a library of about 1,200 movies. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Old and new, and now of course it's all Blu-ray, right?
Right. Yeah.
And I like to go down there and watch, those movies sometimes, but lately I don't have any time.
You've been busy. You've been a busy guy. Yeah. So not only you're doing these paintings, you're filming for the Travel Channel. You're also finishing up a book. Tell us about that.
Oh yeah, Natural Illusions.
Natural Illusions. Yeah.
Yeah, that's almost finished. I mean, I could call it finished at any time, but the trouble is, I just want it to be perfect.
Yeah.
And one time I had it sold up until Biden got elected. And then
boy.
the New York publisher wouldn't even talk to me after that.
Really?
I think they found out that I voted Democrat. I mean, Republican. I voted for Trump.
Really?
And of course, he was the lesser of two evils. They're both evil guys, basically. I don't know, I guess, I don't know, because, this is Arizona, and Washington, D.C. is way the hell over, what, 3,000 miles away, 2,500 miles away.
Yeah. No, I can understand that.
So there's no way in the world to know what the heck is going on,
No, there isn't. And so, what is this book about, Mike? If you could tell us, is this like a retelling of all the different UFO encounters that you had throughout?
That's the second one I showed you. That's
okay.
Yeah, Amazing Adventures with Close Encounters.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the collection. And so, what is this next one about? If you can talk about it.
Yeah, well, natural illusions is I have three categories. It has the natural illusions, which cannot be avoided.
Okay.
So that's basically the main title, and I've got can't be avoided kind of hidden behind, anyway. And then there's of course, it's richly illustrated. It really is. It's lots and lots of illustrations. I mean, just tons. I mean, in fact, there's not much room for writing.
Just retelling of the experience, right?
Yeah. I've tried to keep it at about 200 pages, okay? Because that seems to be about the right size. Anything longer is like tedious, and anything shorter is like it won't tell you the story,
Exactly.
And yeah, it's almost finished. I've got a couple more illustrations I want to do, and I do those pretty fast anymore because they're all CGI, now.
Yeah.
I used to paint, and I painted photorealistically, but I can do an even better job of it now. CGI.
Oh, I'm sure. Thank God for technology.
right over here, I've got a big Sony Vio.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah,
and,
we have a big screen and everything, right?
Oh yeah, that's right. Huge.
Yeah.
And that's what I do all my illustrating on. And thing of it is that the Sony is 19 years old, and it had close to a terabyte of information at the time.
Wow.
But it didn't have anything but paint. Okay. And I've never added anything to it. I've never added anything like Print Shop Pro or Picture Studio, whatever,
or Word or Excel or anything like that. Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, Word. I don't even have that on there.
Yeah.
I have it on this one I'm looking at you at. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's see. Well, anyway.
So yeah, you're finishing up that book, but it can be done at any time.
Because there's two other categories besides natural illusions. Then those are things that you can change, right?
Can change, right?
One of them is hard, which is advertising, for instance. That goes under man-made illusions, right? Man-made illusions, and when it comes to advertising, you can avoid it, maybe.
Maybe
there's so much subliminal, information. So I have a whole lot on that. And of course, there's mental illusions, and those are endless.
I can imagine.
And then I have one last final category, and it's called virtual perception.
Virtual perception.
Yes. And what that is, if you've ever, of course, you kind of have to look at like an old movie where you see a ship, like say an aircraft carrier.
Right.
And of course, that's a model. Okay.
Right.
But for some reason, they could never get the water to work right.
Yeah.
The water was too big.
Kind of like those old Godzilla films where you could see the buildings crushing down, but they still didn't look like real buildings.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Well,
yeah.
Well, the thing of it is, what I'm trying to get to is that the virtual perception, that is a huge category. When you go to the movies now, okay, it's almost all virtual perception.
Right.
And it's hard to describe that. But what it is that in the old movies, like with the aircraft carrier, right? You couldn't, I mean, they would speed the film up or slow it down, one or the other, to make it, but they can never. So what virtual perception is, it's if it's in motion, the smaller the object, the faster the thing is that they're trying to slow down,
Gotcha.
And if you look at it, like for instance, an airplane, say it's Well, like the Phoenix Lights, right? Which
Right.
I witnessed myself. That's another thing.
Oh, you witnessed those yourself?
Absolutely, yes.
Oh, geez, Mike.
And I have researched that. I mean, ever since then. So that was like 22 years ago.
Wow.
And ever since then, I have stacks and stuff. I got some cabinets over here that are just full, okay, of all that. Peter Davenport, my own recordings, and
Well, let me ask you a question then, because I don't know if this is a BS story or not, but there's a rumor, I'm not sure if this is true or not, and you'd be able to tell me if not, that Kurt Russell was actually one of the pilots that witnessed this and actually called it in. Is that correct?
Right, that's correct.
Oh my gosh. See, I've always wanted to verify that, but I was like, who the hell could I verify that with?
Well, I researched all that, and he definitely was. In fact, I tried calling him one time, but he don't accept the call. You know?
Oh yeah.
These Hollywood people, they're all so. But some of them are good guys. Robert Patrick is a really good guy. He's
he would seem like, and it's so funny because he plays a bad guy usually on TV. You know what I mean? The evil bad guy. But those guys are usually the nice guys in real life.
Oh, he is. In real life, he is. My ex-girlfriend, Bernadette, okay. By the way, she arm wrestled Travis here not too long ago. Beat him left and right handed. I call her now the Klingon woman.
The Klingon woman. Wow.
Because she's got a flat stomach. She's very muscular. You know?
Yeah.
But she's also she's not exactly a lesbian because she had 2 kids, right? A girl and a boy.
Right.
My son Heston, he's 30 years old now. His sister Mindy is 33. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, you have a beautiful family, by the way, and I see you posting pictures of them all the time. And you have a huge family, by the way.
Oh yeah, I do. Altogether, I have 7 kids. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
6 from my first and only marriage.
Yeah.
And then Heston, of course, he's Bernadette. We were never married, Bernadette. Mm-hmm. I was going to say, when we were in New York on Geraldo and Good Morning America,
Wow. Yeah.
Of course, there were several others, of course, but Bernadette remembers that during both those shows, actually, she was always very cordial. She was in love with Robert Patrick, right? Who wasn't, right?
Bless you. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, not to
real. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Anyway, she remembers going out on this balcony, especially at the Good Morning America, and she smoked with him out on the balcony because Robert smoked and she smoked. Yeah. And she even took a picture of him out there.
Oh my gosh! So she got her.
She said he was just the friendliest guy, just so down to earth. Yeah, and he was. I mean, I talked to him a lot, and he certainly was.
Yeah, no, it's amazing how some of these guys are. But listen, I mean, talking about your family, I mean, you have such a huge family. Have any of your sons fallen into this, ufology? Have they witnessed anything on their own as well?
My son Michael, who lives in Orlando, Florida,
not far from me.
Yeah, he's what I call a perpetual college student. He was in the Air Force for 6 years, and he decided to settle in Orlando. Okay,
gotcha.
But when he was in the Air Force, he handled nuclear bombs materials. He was in charge of that, for loading on jet planes.
Wow, huge responsibility.
Yeah, it is. But of course, when he was 4 years old, I remember this very clearly. See, I could work a Rubik's Cube, okay? Mm-hmm. But I was like 30 years old at the time. 25 or something, I remember.
Right.
Anyway, when he was 4 years old, I messed up this Rubik's Cube because he always liked to play with stuff, right?
Right.
And he would do this thing. It was this kind of strange kind of thing. Anyway, I set this Rubik's Cube down in front, all messed up already. I left him alone for like 15, 20 minutes. I went in the kitchen to eat something. I don't remember. I come back out, and I looked, and that Rubik's Cube was all perfect. He was 4 years old. He'd done the whole thing.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah.
So super intelligent, highly intelligent individual.
Yeah, well, Here in what was it? Last Halloween.
Right.
I had my youngest daughter, Katie, here. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And she's married to this guy named AJ,
Okay.
and I can't remember his actual name. Anyway, Katie Rogers Van Meer, okay, AJ Van Meer, okay.
Gotcha.
Anyway, they were here, okay,
Uh-huh.
and they were just talking, and I told AJ, I said, so you're going to be a college professor in Flagstaff this coming fall? He says, yeah, that's right. Mathematics, okay, mathematics. In fact, he just finished his master's degree, and so he's going to be an assistant professor, okay.
Wow.
And they're going to move into Flagstaff here, Northern Arizona University. They're going to move there. What did she say? August.
Okay.
So not that long from now. Anyway, of course, I've spent a lot of time in Flagstaff. Actually, I used to paint billboards up there. I went to NAU myself for a while.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, about half a semester. Okay. At the same time, Travis Walton was going there, right?
That's crazy.
He was up there for like 2 years.
Yeah.
I was up there for close to a semester, but not quite,
Mm-hmm.
And I was painting billboards at the time.
Gotcha.
Photographs on billboards, okay?
Mm-hmm.
That's always been my thing, photographs.
That's what it seems like, yeah.
Anyway, that, of course, I got paid a lot of money for,
Mm-hmm.
And I've made use of my talents wherever I can,
Right.
And anyway, I lost track. What was I talking
No, we were
about?
talking about if any of your sons, picked up the ufology trait as well.
Oh,
so
right.
We're talking about Heston.
Oh, well, I was going to mention Michael
Okay,
Brian
Mike.
Rogers. Okay. He lives in Orlando. About 3 months ago,
Mm-hmm.
he had a bunch of people in black vans pull up and clean him out of his phone, his computer, everything.
Really?
That's right. And they didn't explain it. They just left. They took it and left.
Wow. So there was no identification of any kind of government bureau or anything like that? DOD, no, nothing like that.
And of course, he's very outspoken.
Right.
He's brilliant. He thinks he knows everything. But he does, actually. But, a lot of people don't appreciate it.
Right.
Yeah. Of course, now I have recently called, I have for months, called Facebook Big Brother book. Okay.
Yes.
They don't do anything about it.
Oh, absolutely.
They never do anything about it.
No. It's amazing. And it goes so far, Mike, that you'll go on your phone, your cell phone right here, right?
Uh-huh.
You'll go on this little device and let's say, oh, I want to go on a vacation. Let me look for a hotel in Phoenix, Arizona. Next thing you know, on Facebook, you're getting advertisements for hotels in Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah.
How is that happening? That's not supposed to happen that way, Mike. They're not supposed to be able to get into your information that easily.
Well, they
it's
do,
not supposed
though.
to work
They
that
do.
way.
And you talk about scams. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
Scams are everywhere.
You thought I was a scam at first. And I don't blame you because there's so much that stuff.
I wondered.
Yeah, because there's so many of that stuff that's happening out there. It's so rampant.
Recently, this friend that I have
Mm-hmm.
who lived in Payson, Arizona, okay,
Mm-hmm.
somebody, an entity, just an unknown entity, right?
Mm-hmm.
That claiming themselves to be Lisa Fisher, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I have since, I think something happened to Lisa. I don't know what happened. She moved away. Maybe she just gave up Facebook. Maybe
Right.
she's in the hospital. I don't know. Maybe
Right.
she got killed in a car accident. I have no idea.
Right.
Because I had her number. It doesn't answer.
Mm.
So
there was a person that was claiming to be Lisa Fisher, but wasn't Lisa Fisher.
Yeah, and they contacted me on Messenger, Facebook, right? And they said, I'm surprised that you haven't noticed that you have won $200,000. Your name is on the list.
Scam already. I already know.
Oh, man. And that was just the most recent things.
Right.
Here, not too long ago, somebody claiming to be my brother Charles Rogers, who lives in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, in this digital age, everybody's just as close as their backyard, or in their living room, whatever.
Right.
Anyway, somebody was claiming to be Agent Jessica Parker,
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so rampant. You got to be very careful these days, and I warn everybody. I was like, use Facebook, but use it sparingly. You know what I mean? Use it to your advantage and just try to get in and get out. That's what I say about Facebook.
Yeah, well, my trouble of it is Facebook is the only thing that really everybody's tied into Facebook for the most part. You can go to other things, but you're kind of like out of the way when you do that,
Exactly.
And so that's why I stay with Facebook, because I have like 1,700 and some friends, and I picked them very carefully over the years. In fact, in the last 2 years, I guess, I haven't had Facebook all that long.
Mm-hmm.
2 years, okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And in that time, picking very carefully, I've got around 1,700, somewhere around there. I don't remember the number, but
right.
I won't accept any of these "come and get me, big boy."
That's way too obvious at that point.
And I won't accept any crazies. These people that just they use for their profile picture, they use a skull and crossbones or something crazy.
Yeah.
I won't accept those.
And you got to be careful, especially in this. Unfortunately, in this arena of ufology, there are some crazies in our in our little circle of people, and just like anything else, just like anything else. But there are some crazies, and there's little extra special crazies too. But yeah, you got to be very, very careful. One question I had for you, Mike, is this: you've had all these experiences, throughout your time. Do you believe that this is alien? This is extraterrestrial?
It very much seems to be. You can't prove anything. You just can't prove anything. And you certainly can't say anything in text that worth the darn.
Yeah.
People look at text and they take it the way they want to. They put whatever emotion they want to into it.
Correct.
And you can mean something totally different.
Yeah.
I've done a couple of cartoons about that. I don't know if I sent you one or not, but I did. Anyway, a text. And women especially, it's like texting to a woman is like God, right?
No, it's walking through a minefield. That's what it is.
Oh, wow.
Try not to get blown up.
And my ex-girlfriend texts me stuff that I can't even understand what the hell she's saying, She doesn't use spell check, or I call it expel check.
Expel check, yeah.
She'll send me stuff and I'll text her back, and of course mine is always perfect,
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
What the heck are you trying to tell me, Bernadette? She'll send me a thing back with just as screwed up as the one before, She just and you can't talk into it. I mean, she can't. I can.
Yeah.
You talk into it. I don't know what she's doing. I don't think she's very comfortable with speaking right,
Yeah.
So as she turns off her spell check or grammar check and all that stuff,
It's lazy texting. That's what I call it.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, things that should be capitalized aren't. There's no commas.
There's no commas anywhere. Right. Yeah.
Words run together, something I do that's real interesting. When I'm texting, I'll look at whether it's like on Messenger or writing or whatever, as long as it's text somehow or another.
Right.
Well, I will look back at what I've done, because I'll type pretty fast, right? And I'll look back and I'll see a word. I actually turn whole words around backwards. No, and like the word "and." One time I had spell check and grammar check on, right?
Oh my God! Oh, you did? Okay, gotcha.
And I text, and A-N-D. It turned out DNA, and then they capitalized it automatically. I'm going, what the hell? Not to use spell check, but I won't use grammar check anymore.
Yeah, that's just too much. Yeah, at that point, right? Yeah. Listen, the reason I asked you, Mike, because a lot of people, there's a lot of different there's a lot of different theories, on why we see what we see out there. A lot of people blame the military. A lot of people blame maybe it's paranormal. Some people even think it may be angelic beings. Do you find that, or do you believe that this is a more about benevolent thing, or more of more sinister thing that we're dealing with here?
Well, I do not whatsoever believe that they're evil aliens or sinister or anything like that.
Right.
As a matter of fact, everything I have seen, and I have seen several things, because I've always been outdoors, always worked. I was either in the tree service, or I was logging, or just out camping or whatever, Every single thing I've ever seen looked like they're here to protect us.
Yeah.
Because when you think about it, Earth's existence has got to be so incredibly rare.
Right.
So incredibly rare. The chances of even existing are phenomenal.
Yeah.
And you think, as many things as there are out there that could happen, why don't they?
Right.
I think that once in a while, these people, these entities, these extraterrestrials, will come, just like that illustration that I did there, in 1970. They come for some reason, and they do something just to keep something bad from happening.
Right.
Something totally out of our control.
That is so true. I believe that too, because you've always noticed that, before certain things happening, or a big event, you always see a rash of sightings just happen all of a sudden. And, you wonder what that is, why that is, and especially after, World War I, and then especially after World War II, you saw a lot of those things happening. And I believe that too. I really do. I think that's a very valid hypothesis when it comes to what we're seeing up in the sky. And it's amazing. It's amazing that, they even talk about it now, with the whole COVID thing that's been going on, the pandemic. A lot of people have been home more now, and they've actually been seeing a lot more UFOs. They've been seeing a lot of these things because they're home more. And so they're experiencing a lot of these things that they never really got to experience before, because they never had the opportunity to, because most people had to go to work. But now that everybody's home, they're starting to experience a lot of these sightings. So I think it's a wonderful time now with the community, especially with the UFO community. I mean, I don't know what your take is on what the government's doing now with a lot of the disclosure you've seen lately with, the Navy, and, saying, yes, this footage here that you see is, an unidentified flying object. We cannot, corroborate what this is, but this is a true video. What's your take on all that?
Well, CGI makes it possible to fake anything.
Oh yeah.
And I should know, because I'm an expert at that. Okay. I've gone the ropes with that. I have even done animating, CGI animating.
Right.
And, I've never displayed any of that.
Right.
But I've experimented with it, and I can tell you right now, you can literally, with sound, with picture, animation, real live action, you can fake anything or make anything any way you want it to be.
It's so true. It's so
That's
true.
Right.
It's so true. It's amazing. I mean, again, we don't know what to believe and what we see anymore, too. That's a whole other thing. That's the day and age that we live in. Yeah. I mean, what do you think about the moon landing? You think that happened?
Oh, definitely.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh yeah. When I had my radio show on KGRA, I had Ken Johnson and this guy Shepard. Can't remember his first name, but he's related to Alan Shepard. Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, Ken Johnson was in charge of the photos that were, from the moon landings, right?
Right.
And he brought those back. He was supposed to destroy them, but he didn't. Okay.
Right.
And so on this one show, I have a whole lot of illustrations. I mean, there was a lot of pictures which I displayed. I did a video of that show. Anyway, I got to thinking about that, because they had this one picture, this one photo that looked like a moon base, right? It was the best. It was the best out of all of them, right? So I thought, well, there's something wrong here, and so I got on my big Sony Vaio,
Yeah.
and I noticed it had been compressed in stages, like a violin, like an accordion,
Right.
And so I very carefully got to look at it because I can zoom way in. I mean, 10 times the size of one pixel, right?
Right.
And I could see clearly that there was a time exposure, but it was like in 12 frames. I don't know how that was done, but and it was also kind of at the Terminator, okay, kind of aimed at the Terminator.
Gotcha.
And so I undid it, and you can find those. You can find both the original and what I did with it on my. You have to scroll down a long ways, but you'll find it.
Okay. Yeah.
And that comes from that, because what happened was that about, I don't know, approximately a month later, I had Mark D'Antonio and Peter Robbins on my show. Okay. And Peter Robbins was going on and on about how you could see certain things on the moon and certain like that. He believed there might be moon bases, right?
Right.
Mark D'Antonio says, no, there are no moon bases. There's never been moon bases. And especially now we can prove that, because now there's like 6 or 7 orbiters, all different countries, and they all broadcast those pictures constantly, and they're high resolution, and there are no moon bases. But the moon landing did happen.
Interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, and speaking about moon bases, I mean, did you ever see that video of Buzz Aldrin talking about the monolith on the dark side of the moon?
No.
No, yeah, there's a video. I implore you to seek it out. If not, I'll send it to you. It's
Buzz Aldrin, huh?
Yeah, Buzz Aldrin, and he's being interviewed about about the moon landing, of course, and
Okay,
let
me write that
and
down.
he was talking about the most interesting part of that whole thing was that he said the most interesting thing that he saw was a monolith on the darker side of the moon that nobody seemed to kind of pay any attention to or want to talk about. And so I always found that piece of video very intriguing, because that's a guy that was there. You know what I mean?
But did he have photographs?
No, he didn't. So that's the thing.
Well,
yeah.
The thing of it is that there are so many shadows and so many weird things on the moon, large, small. You can't compare it to anything on Earth.
That's true too. Right. Yeah, you're right
it's
about
the
that.
same thing with Mars,
Right.
They're always making a big thing about, oh, you can see this on Mars. You see that on Mars. Yeah, right.
Supposedly there was like a herd of some type of cattle or something that they say that they saw on Mars not too long ago. I was like, how the hell? I was like, there's no way in hell that you guys saw that. Another one I saw was a statue of a lady. I was like,
oh yeah, that's right. I saw that one too.
You saw that one, right? The statue of the lady on the side of the cliff.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's just, all it is a blur, first of all.
Yeah.
And it's like something blowing in the wind, because there's a lot of wind on Mars,
Yeah.
And the air is very thin, okay.
Right.
But it blows very fast sometimes.
Yeah.
And who knows what it could be blowing in the wind.
Right. And the picture being taken at that moment as it's blown in the wind.
Yeah. Another thing is that it'll kick up a lot of dust, right?
Right. Yeah.
So anytime you snap something, right?
Right.
Who knows? Who knows what you're gonna get?
Unbelievable. Yeah. So the last one I heard was about a herd of cattle, some type of extraterrestrial cattle that was riding around Mars. And I was like, oh, now they're just pulling shit out of their ass at this point.
Who's punching them? They got cowboys out there or what?
Yeah, that's the next thing. Cowboys and Indians are going to be out there shooting at each other.
I'm sorry, but that stuff is ridiculous,
I know. I'm a natural conspiracy theorist. I love looking into things. I love researching things. I love trying to, that's just me. I've always been that way ever since I was a kid. And, sometimes people go way too far with this stuff. And I'm just like, all right, people, we gotta reel it back into reality here, because it's just like, man, they will say anything. They'll try to sell anything as well. It's just amazing.
Yeah, you want to talk about conspiracy?
Yeah. What do you got?
Phoenix Lights.
Oh, what do you think? Do you think it was a conspiracy?
I witnessed this from a hilltop. I call it a hilltop. It's actually over 7,000 feet high, right?
Okay.
But it's over in Prescott, right? And the ground there is about 4,500 feet in elevation. So 7,500 looks like a hill.
Oh, okay? Of course.
And they're not jagged. They're rather like smoothed over. And so I drove up to the top of this hill, which was just northwest of Prescott.
Right.
And I drove right to the top. I had a 4-wheel drive, and I drove up there, and it was right when the Hale-Bopp comet was visible.
Okay.
I mean, it was visible. It was huge in the sky, but it was very dim. Okay.
Okay.
And so I had this Sony Beta professional camera, and I was trying to get pictures of it, but of course it was analog, you know. So so this wasn't happening, right? So I put the camera away, and then I noticed that just a little to the right, these lights came up from the ground. They did not come from the horizon.
Okay, so they came up from the ground.
Definitely, because, and I know that for a fact because it was still twilight at that time.
Gotcha.
And they came up slow, and it was not this group of airplanes that like Robert Schaefer claims, or Michael Shermer.
Yeah,
Who was the one that wrote that? Tony Ortega.
Ortega.
Wrote the only skeptical article about it. And the thing of it is that even him, the exact same path that he describes was the path of the wind. And I've recently kind of had it out with not Oberg.
Ortega?
Schaefer.
Oh,
No.
Schaefer? Okay.
No, I've tried calling him. He won't even talk to me. I have talked to Michael Shermer several times.
Okay.
Anyway, and I had an article in MUFON Journal in May of 2019.
Okay.
About this. It's a scientific abstract, and they tucked it away kind of in the back, kind of. You know?
I know that feeling. Yeah.
Under letters to the editor. Okay.
Yeah.
Keller, letters to the editor. Oh, excuse me, letters to the columnists. That's what it's called.
Gotcha.
Letters to columnists. And so there's this other crazy lady that they put on there first, you know, that was just a whole bunch of gibberish nonsense, you know. And then they have my abstract, right?
Right.
And then of course his analysis says that as I'm kind of like, you know, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, you know. I mean, that's the way the MUFON Journal is, you know.
Yeah, that's how they are. You know, they like to describe everything, unless it's theirs.
Yeah, that's right. And so anyway, that article's there, May 2019. But
so the Phoenix Lights, I mean, that was such a unique event because there were so many witnesses to that. There was hundreds and hundreds of witnesses. I mean, police officers, all different types of people witnessed these lights. It lasted for a while too. Am I correct?
Well, there was 2 events.
Okay.
The first event, which by the way, it happens to be another book I'm working on.
Okay.
I've got all kinds of
busy man.
Yeah. Well, I jump back and forth from these things, but I'm so busy lately, you know.
Yeah.
I really am. Family. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Just thinking about all the things I do. Looking around.
So there was 2 events.
Sometimes I go for a walk in the woods back here, you know.
Yeah, that's good to do.
And I just shake my head, you know. Anymore, it's just kind of like bewildering, you know.
Yeah.
I just think, my gosh, what's going on in the world, you know?
Hey, I mean.
But anyway, the Phoenix Lights, in my opinion, was not extraterrestrial, and it was not airplanes.
Okay. So it was definitely government, but it wasn't airplanes.
Conspiracy. Now, if you want, I can send you a whole bunch of information.
Yeah, please do. I mean, I would love to do. I haven't done. I mean, my podcast, we are up to episode 95, so we've done 95 episodes in the last 3 to 4 years. We have not touched on the Phoenix Lights. That's one thing we have not touched on as of yet. So yeah, any information that you could send over to me, I'd really appreciate it. So that way I could do some research. Yeah, I appreciate it.
I had like 80 shows altogether.
Oh, really?
HGRA, yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah.
Anyway, that ended because of Ray Hobbs. I don't know why. He just got pissed for some reason, and
really,
that was it. Yeah, he said, "Fuck you, Mike."
Oh, wow! Just like that, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it was because I was the last. He was my he produced my shows for 5 weeks, okay?
Right.
And during those 5 weeks, he only did 2 shows. And so I hit him with that. I was saying, I would like to continue this. I have guests lined up, but you're not producing my shows. And that's when he said, "Fuck you, Mike."
That's, as a producer, that is your job to produce. I mean,
That's right.
You've already created the content. All he has to do is just put it together now.
So as long as Bill Forte was my producer, everything was fine.
Yeah, there you go.
That guy really knew his stuff.
Yeah. Well, if you ever need one, let me know. I'm your man.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm so busy. I don't think I have time. I would love to do radio.
Yeah.
As you can see, I've got everything I need.
No, you got the setup. You definitely have the setup.
Yeah.
You ever get the itch, you let me know. We'll get things straightened out for you. No problem. We can do it real easy.
All right.
Well, Mike, listen, what's next on the horizon for you? I know you were filming stuff for the Travel Channel. What's next?
By the way, that's supposed to be on sometime in October on the Travel Channel.
Okay. And what is it talking about? Is it talking about that event, of course?
About the whole, it's a 2-hour documentary.
Okay.
And it will have a lot of my illustrations in it.
Oh, wonderful.
The ones that deal directly with, the Travis Walton incident.
Yeah.
I don't know what else there'll be. There'll be some black and whites. All those things are copyrighted by me.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. Smart man.
Yeah. And also, they might show a little bit of a video that I have, which I call Jumping Giant Pines, which was semi-professional,
Mm-hmm.
And I actually could jump trees. We're talking trees weigh 7,000 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
That's one I jumped over 20 feet off of a $2 million home.
My gosh, Mike.
And my girlfriend at the time, Bernadette, she goes, she just couldn't get over it. She couldn't believe that tree would fly that far, and it did.
Yeah.
It just flew, and that's probably what they'll show. That's the one thing they'll probably show.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
Well, listen, that's so interesting, and I really hope and wish the best for you in the future. We'll have to have you back on, of course, once things start progressing. I would really appreciate when things start kind of calming down, of course, for you as well. But I really thank you for this opportunity, Mike, for having you come on this podcast and talk to us about your experience. I really do.
I've got one question for you. Can you can you put this on my page?
Oh, absolutely. So what I'll do is once I have everything put together, I'm going to be able to send you links. We'll have a YouTube link, so you can put that on your page. People can go right to it directly. It'll be beautiful. It'll be all set up for you. You'll see.
Very good.
All right. All right, Mike. Listen,
thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming on Dark Fringe Radio. Thank you again. Enjoy your evening. We'll see you soon, and we'll talk soon, my friend.
All right. We shall see you.
All right. Take care, my friend. Right. Have a good night.
All right. Night-night.
Take care.
Hey guys, well, I hope you enjoyed that interview with Mr. Mike Heston Rogers, of course, of fame of Fire in the Sky. Very, very wonderful guest, and I wanted to thank him so much for coming on the podcast. So thank you again, Mike, and make sure you pick up all his books once they start coming out. Again, I'm going to go ahead and be putting all that information on the website as well. So make sure you go ahead and check all that stuff out. So again, thank you, Mike, for coming on the podcast. And that's it for tonight, guys. Next week, we have a Mr. Todd Neese. He is a famed, very well expertise Bigfoot researcher. And it's a great interview that we had with him as well. So can't wait for you guys to listen to that interview next week. But until then, thank you again for listening to another edition of Dark Fringe Radio, and we'll see you guys again next week.
Thank you for listening to Dark Fringe Radio, recorded in the Mephistopheles Studios. Any correspondence can be sent to thedarkfringe@gmail.com. Thank you again for listening.